as soon as I press play, I couldn't stop smiling. The song is so well crafted. I love everything about it. Hello there, girls and boys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're coming back to one of my favorite artists ever. The name, of course, Sting, known for being the bass player and singer for The Police, and also, well, being a badass singer, songwriter, well, and solo performer. And the track in question is a new release that's coming from the single called I Wrote Your Name. And the track in question is, of course, I Wrote Your Name. And, well, let's analyze the song together. And spoiler alert, I did enjoy the song more than I expected. So, this is gonna be a very positive review. So if this is your jam, let's listen to the song together and analyze it together. But before we go, if this is first time to the channel, I welcome you because in here we analyze the music that we love from the perspective of an active musician and professional music producer, using language that everybody can understand, in a way to expand our knowledge when it comes to music production and songwriting. So, with that being said, let's jam. So here we go, girls and boys. I Wrote Your Name by Sting.
I wrote your name upon my heart, so I remember if ever we should part. When I got lost inside life's game, I look into my heart and find your name. Oh man, it feathers a dying shade. I wrote these letters to spell your name. I called your name upon my soul, for I was broken, till you came to make me whole. When I got lost outside the frame, I look inside my heart, I read your name. Oh man, it feathers would die shade. I wrote these letters. I wrote your name upon my soul, for I was broken, till you came to make me whole. When I got lost outside the frame, I look inside my heart, there I read your name.
That was pretty badass, gotta tell you. I love how he did, or the song changed so many times in so little time, in such a beautiful, natural sounding way, in a way that actually proposed something meaningful to the song, and in such a tiny scope of time. We only have played 1 minute and 30 seconds of the song, and you saw how many beautiful chords changes or modulations took place in the song in this very little amount of time. That was fantastic. One thing that I pointed out at the beginning of this, or as soon as I pressed play, was the gigantic amount of low end. I wasn't expecting this kind of sound because this is very, very super punchy sounding. Don't you think? It's a little bit too weighty. I think the direction of this production, it's trying to sound a little bit more modern, but it's still retaining a lot of what makes Sting's music the way it does. Because I'm going to be quite frank with you. Let me show you. When I saw the cover for this single, I was expecting something more electronic music sounding. It might be me. Maybe it's because of the typography used on the lettering of the single cover. But I don't know. I was expecting something less rock and roll, and I am gladly surprised that he stuck to his roots and his sound. Love it. Now, what do you think about the sound of his voice? I found it a little bit not bad, but rougher around the edges. Of course, I understand that Sting has been around for quite a while, and please remind me his age. Because it's something that happens to every singer, which is with age, your voice naturally is going to become darker and or less high end. But I don't know if this is the case with Sting, because his previous record, which was released not that long ago, which actually you can see my reaction to one of the songs from that album, badass album, I totally recommend you to watch my reaction, but also listen to the album. on that album, he was still singing as usual, quite high pitch because that's part of his style. But in this record, he sounds way darker, and by darker I mean less high end, and also a little bit more aggressive. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's simply not the common thing to hear from Sting, and I hope it's not due to him losing his vocal chops. I think it's not. But tell me what you think. It fits the track, yes, 100%. The tone of the bass, of his bass, is badass. I love it because dum, dum, dum. Every time that he plays any note, it sounds deep, with energy, and pushes the song forward. Love it. Now, the rest of the orchestration is fantastic, don't you think? I love when they introduced the organ. That was so cool because the organ is playing just those tiny sections, but whenever it pops up, oof, it's fun. But when the modulation happens, when they introduce that beautiful kind of chorus thing, it creates this kind of larger than life sound. Once I press play again, pay attention to that section because I don't know if it's the chorus or not. You get me? Because the song progression is kind of interesting. It has a clear verse, but it morphs. So pay attention to it. And also, please tell me what do you think about the sound of the rest of the instrumentation as a whole. Try to see the song as a unit rather than as an amalgamation of instruments, because I would like to hear your opinion there. Okay? Let's listen to the track, and once I come back to you, we're going to analyze the mix together. Here we go.
Ask all my number upon your wall. I lie awake at night, just waiting on your call. If you came back to me, with no seconds flat, I'd raise my hands and shout, amen to that. Oh man in feathers will die in shame. I wrote these letters to spell your name. When I was down and out, no one else to blame. I look inside my heart. I wrote your name upon my heart, so I remember of a recent port. When I got lost inside life's game, I'd look into my heart to find your name. I carved your name upon my soul, for I was broken till you came to make me whole. When I got lost outside the frame, I'd look inside my heart and then I'd read your name. I wrote your name. I wrote your name upon my heart.
Short and sweet, don't you think? Such a cool track. This is actually the second time that I listen to the song on its entirety, because before every time that I shoot one of these videos, I try to listen to the track at least once before turning on the cameras, because that's how I map out some of the elements that I want to discuss with you. But these, as soon as I press play, I couldn't stop smiling. The song is so well crafted. I love everything about it. From the recording, as you saw when I mentioned, the sound of the instruments is fantastic. It's very well crafted. I don't find any of those instruments to be quite obnoxious or way too loud. Also, I love the song progression, how it modulates through time. I already mentioned that as well. And I like the sound of the mix a lot. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the screen now. Over here, listen, boys, we got our traditional tool that we like to use in this channel, which is Decibel, and we're going to use it to analyze the way that our song, the song by Sting, sounds through the use of a visual medium. Over here we got the frequency range analyzer, and in here we got displayed the lowest point in volume, the lowest point in frequencies, and the highest point that we can hear as human beings. 20, the lowest, 20,000, the highest. And as mentioned before, the bass, it's gigantic. super super deep, super super rounded sounding, and actually heavy. Actually, we had the discussion of last week on which Tiago and myself were trying to come up with a proper definition of what makes a song sound heavy. And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, metal, right? The thing is that we got here a good example of a song that hits you hard and it sounds heavy, even though the song is far from metal. This is kind of closer to pop than it is to rock, but it has this super punchy element to it that actually makes you make faces, don't you think? And I love that. And it's not necessarily speaking something that it's quite common on Sting's approach to music production, but in this album it's badass and it sounds natural, even though it's a little bit too enhanced. It doesn't feel bombastic at all. But what do you think? And just for sake of comparison, compare these to the sound of one of the songs that made the Police famous, Roxanne is by Toto, Roxanne, and you'll see that the sound difference in when it comes to the sound of the bass is gigantic. Then we got plenty of energy over here, Gorson Boys, which is the low mids, and again that could be the result of having this super pronounced attack on the bass, but also we got a very low tuned drum. Don't you think? The drum kit, particularly the snare, is kind of dark sounding. It's not. I don't know if you realize it. And that's a badass tone. In my particular opinion, I prefer to tune my snares like that rather than an overly bright one. Because maybe it's because I'm metal, whatever, you know what I mean, right? It's simply a matter of taste. And this record has that kind of dark sound on the drum kit that I happen to be quite a fan of. Very good. Now you saw that there was a tambourine going on, right? What a great instrument to annoy people with. But in this case, it's used to such a great taste. Delightful. Actually, I'm quite impressed. And taking a look at the high end, not surprised at all because this song is not overly bright, and you heard me already mentioning that fact a few seconds ago. But also, this areas where we would usually find Sting's voice, but in here, once again, what I mentioned as well. He's going after a much rougher and deeper, lower endy sound rather than his traditional high pitch vocals. Very well done. Very well done. Overall, I think it's a great sounding mix when it comes to the arrangement as well, because the composition of the band is quite minimalistic. From what I could hear, we got guitars, just one guitar, bass, drums, and of course the organ. And that's it. Please tell me the name of the musicians involved because I love the performance as well. Everything was done in such a great taste. Speaking of the guitars, what do you think about the guitar tone? I think it's amazing. Very well crafted. It's clean enough, but distorted enough for it to have an edge. But it's that clean that allows the guitar to shine and for each of the notes played on the guitar to be not only audible, but also kind of tasteful. Don't know. I'm lacking in the ways of terminology to describe the sound of the track, but I think it's due to the fact that I liked it that much. Now let's take a look at the screen once again, because we're going to take a look at the usual suspect, our dynamic range analyzer. And this guy is displaying the way that the song behaved throughout time. And not surprising at all, we don't have that much dynamic range, because the track itself has not that many differences in volume. What on the name of F does dynamic range stands for those of you who are new to the channel? It stands for the difference between the loudest point with the quietest point throughout time of any given track. The blob over here, this blue blob, is actually representing those points in volume throughout time. And the thing is that you can see that I won't even bother going to the beginning of the track because the whole thing was basically following the same pattern. But you can see here that the point on which I press play the second time, the song was already engaged in what I could consider to be the cruise mode, the speed, okay? And in this case, we're referring to the loudness. And it never changed until we reached the beautiful chord progression that I could think is the pre-chorus, just for it to open up slightly more to what it turns to be the chorus. Do I think it's a good idea to keep this low dynamic range on a song? No, I don't think so. But maybe it's the fanboy inside of me, But I think the decision of sticking to such a low dynamic range in this track is due to the fact that the song is 3 minutes long. There is not that much room for you to be creative in when it comes to the use of the dynamics of the track. And it's important, once again, for those of you who are new to this concept, because it is through dynamic range that we, as mixers and producers, can enhance the emotional impact of a track depending on the section of the song and on the basis of how loud it is. Because when we deal with a loud sound, our human brains likes to understand those as more exciting, and when something is quiet, we usually think of those as being a little bit more intimate and mysterious or dangerous or sexier, if you know what I mean. And in this case, the track is quite upbeat, the track is quite exciting and happy sounding. So I don't find any reason to complain about the fact that it's not that dynamically speaking dynamic. So what do you think? I think this is a great track. Sting once again proving to us kids that there is a way to write legit music while keeping it short and also, well, keeping it commercially viable. Because I think this is a very good track to introduce people to Sting's music. And all in all, great and great song, and refreshing to see that there's still good music being produced nowadays. The sad thing is it's still produced by the same people that produced the badass records that started off the careers of many of us. So, what do you think about the track? What do you think about Sting? And what do you think about my take on the song? Maybe I went a little bit overly positive because I truly love his music. Sting as a musician has influenced me like very few, for real. And well, a good chunk of what I do as a musician and as a composer myself is actually variations of what I learned from listening to his tracks. But I think it's a good song. But tell me, what do you think about it? Now, the only thing left, girls and boys, is of course, if you like to support this kind of content, the best way to do it is by listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify, and also by following us on social media such as Instagram and X, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us in a much more personal basis. Now, girls and boys, as every single time I meet you, I can remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. Remember, I will see you when I see you.